In 1979, Ayatollah Khomeini, the leader of the Islamic Revolution in Iran, in his first speech after returning to the country, said this to the Iranian people: "Not only do we want your material life to be prosperous, but also we want your spiritual life to be prosperous." The Iranian government wants to make everyone spiritual. If, let's say, for a day, you watch the Iranian state TV channels, which, by the way, are the only legal TV channels in the country, chances are you will hear the word spirituality many times. Let me tell you a story. I was once in a park with a girl in Iran. It was one of those beautiful sunny days in Tehran. We were chatting and laughing and having fun. All of a sudden, an officer from the morality police noticed us, arrested us, took us to a police station for 2 hours where they interrogated, insulted, and beat us just because we were together in a park. And the funny thing is, that police officer might have been quite genuine. He probably just wanted to help us grow spiritually because, according to the religious authorities in power in Iran, being in a park with a non-family member from the opposite sex is against your religious or spiritual development. So, the material and spiritual lives of the Iranian people did not become prosperous. Because, similar to my experience in the park, the basic freedoms of most people are constantly violated. Also, despite the abundance of natural resources, the economic situation deteriorated. The kind and generous people of Iran were worse off because of a religious and spiritual government. This made me distrust spirituality. When I sat on the plane to come to Canada 9 years ago to do a PhD in electrical engineering, I was very dissatisfied with my situation in Iran. I disliked spirituality, and I had no idea that my journey to Canada will turn out to become a spiritual journey as well. When I was on that plane, I knew that the Canadian government would not impose religious or spiritual restrictions on me. And because those restrictions were the main source of my dissatisfaction, I was thinking to myself that I would live happily ever after. And I was so preoccupied with all this that I didn't really pay attention how cold Winnipeg is. I just noticed on the map it's closer to the southern border, and I thought it should be one of the warmer cities in Canada. Canada is a great country. I did not face the same restrictions. However, despite the fact that Canadian people are very friendly, I usually avoid telling them I'm Iranian. You know a common reaction I get when I tell people I'm Iranian? Anyone can guess? Now pay attention, it's subtle. They back away and they clear their throat. Most often, people just seem to not expect a normal person to be Iranian. The image that comes to their mind when they hear the word Iran is that police officer who beat me, not me or millions of others like me, who just want to enjoy the same freedoms people enjoy here in Canada, for example. I found that very unfair. I knew many Iranian friends who, despite the risks, kept holding their lovers' hands, kept kissing, kept dancing, kept loving. But somehow, the dictator not only had managed to suppress the people inside the country, but also had managed to present an image to the world. So the word Iranian meant a radical, fanatic Islamist. So I was still dissatisfied. I had already left my family, moved thousands of kilometers away, and I was still dissatisfied. But what else could I do? What else could I do? Maybe if I could become richer, smarter, better looking, have a higher social status, then I would be satisfied. But I met many people who were much richer, smarter, better looking, had a higher social status, and were white too, and they were dissatisfied. They also wanted to become richer, smarter, better looking, whiter, or in that case, tanned. Dissatisfaction just seemed to be there, regardless of the circumstances. Of course, it's nicer to live in a free country, or not to be poor or a minority. But none of those solves the problem of dissatisfaction. Then I began to think that maybe the root of dissatisfaction cannot be found outside, but inside. That was roughly when I learned about meditation. Now, I'm going to introduce you to my friend, my meditation cushion. I have put my butt on it for many, many hours. I'm just going to do the same here. I was very fortunate to learn about the practice of meditation in a secular context, because I still had strong reactions to anything religious or spiritual. I was also very lucky to become a student of amazing meditation teachers to whom I'm deeply grateful. I started meditating a lot. And by meditation, I mean simply being present with whatever arises in consciousness. I attended many meditation retreats where we meditated for many hours every day for days. I also did a couple of meditation retreats on my own. This past winter, for 2 weeks, I did a solo meditation retreat in my own apartment. No computer, no internet, no phone, no talking, no reading, no watching TV, no listening to music. Just being present, just meditating. Did I find the solution to dissatisfaction? Am I always satisfied now? No, I'm not. But something has fundamentally changed. I'm no longer obsessed about my satisfaction. I'm now much more open to see the beauty of every present moment. The fact that there is this consciousness, this capacity to see and to be alive, which if you really pay attention, is much deeper and much more profound than the self-centered, trivial concerns about my own dissatisfaction. And when one becomes aware of, and therefore grateful for, this life, that dissatisfaction naturally subsides, and joy will automatically start to fill your being. A joy that has no particular cause. It's not because of getting richer, smarter, or better looking. It's just there. But the process is not easy. It's actually often quite painful. When you meditate and observe the mind for long periods of time without distraction, you will come face to face with many aspects of the mind that you don't necessarily like. And it's almost impossible to go through this whole process without the support of a meditation teacher. Also, without a spiritual teacher, it's likely that one chooses the easy path over the helpful path and ends up with shallow, new agey beliefs or sees meditation as yet another self-help technique. The support of a spiritual teacher is crucial. But when you trust a spiritual teacher, there is huge potential for abuse. Iranian people trusted Khomeini as a spiritual teacher. Khomeini had spent all his adult life seeking God. He wrote spiritual poems. For the majority of the Iranian people, he was a trustworthy spiritual father. But the result of that trust was a total disaster. Or even here in North America, there are many fake spiritual teachers who abuse people's suffering to make profit or gain power. So, what to do? What to do? This is the question I want to raise in this talk. How to take advantage of the truly magnificent teachings of the ancient wisdom traditions without falling victim to potential abuses? The answer to this question, in my experience, and you don't have to rely on my experience, there is a lot of scientific research on meditation these days. But in my experience, the answer to this question has the potential to alleviate so much unnecessary suffering that is going on around the world. It can prevent so much damage we do to the environment because of our dissatisfaction, because of greed, hatred, and ignorance. Sometimes I think I have found the answer to that question for myself. But I'm certain about one thing. My answer won't work for you. Your answer must be found by you. So, I don't have an answer for you. Instead, I have a wish for all of us. I wish for all of us to ponder this question with awareness. I wish for all of us in Iran, in Canada, everywhere in the world, to be happy, safe, and satisfied. Thank you.